It's been a long time since I've watched the original Jaws, at least 10 years or more. But I feel like they were trying to capture some of that stuff with the dialogue. And then this whole premise, the shark is hunting them. And then how they kill them at the end. Like, it's just so weird. Yeah. And then it's over. And he's telling a story about 100 nuns flying from Nairobi.
Yeah. And that was the third one?
Fourth one.
Fourth.
Well, good question.
Yeah.
Is it? Is it the third or fourth? It's not the second one.
Are we doing the recording right now?
Yeah, let's make this official and then we can talk about this stuff.
Oh, there was Jaws 3D in 1980.
Yes.
Jaws 2.
There's Cruel Jaws, 1995.
Yeah, but Cruel Jaws, was that the same thing or was that something else?
Well, it's listed under this. Look.
They did go back to Jaws eventually in the same way that Batman only ruined the franchise
So Jaws 3 was Jaws 3D, which I heard that one was the worst one.
Well, it's a great question.
Yeah, why did you decide that this one was the one that ruined it?
Well, because it has a 2% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's a low percent.
That's a low percent, Steve. Okay, here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the newest installment of Objectively Awful. I'm Tim, and I'm joined by Steve.
Begrudgingly!
And Eric.
Hello.
So, as a reminder, we watch the worst movies and then talk about them. What the definition of a worst movie is, we try and change each episode, though. And so, today's episode, we picked a movie that ended a franchise. So, there was a handful to choose from. We were talking about Batman and Robin or Beverly Hills Cop 3. But we settled on Jaws: The Revenge, which was the fourth Jaws movie in 1987.
I do think there needs to be a bit of a discussion because, I mean, you just mentioned moments ago that it was a film that ruined a franchise, and I think that's maybe debatable, or we need a definition
It was a film that ended a franchise.
Okay.
So, Batman and Robin was a bad movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze and
Right.
Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. It was bad enough that they stopped making Batman movies for a decade. Okay. Beverly Hills Cop 3 ended the Beverly Hills Cop franchise until this year. Netflix did a new Beverly Hills Cop movie. This was the last Jaws movie for a decade or...
Well, 8 years only. 1995, the other one came out.
What was it called?
Cruel Jaws. Yeah.
Is that even the actual thing?
I don't know. And that's what I'm wondering. But certainly it was a bad movie. I want to know why.
What was your synopsis, Eric?
No.
Oh, no, that's a good point. Eric, what is Jaws: The Revenge?
Really what Jaws: The Revenge is about at heart is familial dynamics and overcoming trauma through healthy relationships. I think that's what it's about. There's a shark at some point in the movie.
Part of those healthy relationships involve killing sharks together.
Yes, and that's the problem, is that mostly this is just like a very lightly dramatic film that happens to have a shark in the periphery. Or the margins.
No, this is a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas
movie that has a shark in it.
This is the Christmas movie before Die Hard.
Yeah, and it's just kind of about a family who experiences loss
at Christmas time.
At Christmas time of a younger brother, of a sibling, of a son, and then just the sort of the dealing with that afterwards. And also, a shark attacks a boat and they kill it.
And honestly, with that synopsis, that actually would make people say, probably not that bad of a movie. The problem is the loss that they feel and all that kind of stuff. And there was an idea for a good movie in there.
Yeah.
But then you add on that there's this shark that's hunting this family. I mean, that's really the major premise of the movie. There's a shark hunting the family.
Yeah.
Tracks them all the way from Amity, New York.
Amity, New York to the Bahamas. Yeah, and I mean, I'm making light of it because I said it was a drama because really the shark was featured so little And compared to the family interactions and everything, that I was like, what's going on here? But yeah, certainly the shark seemed to know where all of the members of the family were in the water at any given point. So not explained or anything, but it definitely is sort of a single-minded assassin type shark going after only a family.
Yeah, so in the first Jaws movie, the main character who kills the shark, the story of this movie is that this shark was, I guess, psychically linked to that shark, and now it craves revenge by hunting down each of the
Living
family members.
Yeah.
Or was it a family member of that original shark? You know, because it's a family movie.
It's a
about
family movie.
Connections.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's probably like
We
the
only got
brother.
to see opening presents Christmas morning from the human's perspective.
Yeah.
We never got to see it from the shark perspective.
Dad never came home 5 years ago because of that
It's true.
jerk sheriff that just shot him.
And I think this is where the movie fails, is that there was no emotional development for the shark. I feel like there's so much more of a story.
Yeah, well, there was no growth, right?
Yeah,
It had no
Just
story arc.
one-dimensional character.
That shark just hated that family.
Yeah, and I also don't think that it would survive, because I hear that sharks and fish in general die if they just float in the water and don't go forward.
Yeah.
Because it would just hover half the time.
There was a lot of just floating.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I thought you were talking about the character development. If it wasn't moving forward, it would die. And
Physically, and
so because the shark could not get over its dad's death, it was doomed to die.
And we saw that over and over again, foreshadowed in the physicality of the shark.
right, yeah,
Just
yeah.
was
I
not
think
moving
represented by the emotional was the physical inability to move the giant robotic shark in the water while they were filming it.
So for people who have not watched this movie, as Eric said, it's wild. So I haven't seen Jaws 2 or Jaws 3D, so I can't weigh in on what those movies are like. But I have seen the first Jaws movie by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, me too.
And there isn't very much shark in it, but there's a lot of anticipation. You don't get to see the shark until the last 5 minutes. They really make you want it. They're whetting your appetite the whole time. This movie also does not feature the shark for most of it, but it's not that same feeling of anticipation. It feels more like they just forgot that it was a shark movie. Yeah.
Yeah, and while we were watching, just at the end, I likened it to an hour and a half of sour cream. It's like you're having tacos and you just dip it in a 5-gallon bucket of sour cream and then you eat it. And it's like, there's a lot of content there now, but it's not good. It's just filler. It's useless. Why are they doing this kind of thing?
I would feel really sick after eating sour cream for an hour and a half straight.
Yeah. This is not what you want. Like, a little bit of development is good, but they got distracted by it.
Yeah. So there was some criticism about, was Jaws 3D where it was bad, or was this the bad one, or whatever. What truly killed the franchise?
This is what I was wanting to ask, of what truly killed it. So
I have a couple answers.
Okay.
This movie was made for a budget of somewhere between $23 and $30 million. Its box office return was $51.9 million.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So off the hop, if you don't know anything about the film industry, that seems like it made its money back.
Yeah.
But as we always say, you need to double the budget to get a better idea of how much it costs. You need to factor in things like advertising. And keep in mind, when we go and buy a ticket at the theater, the company that made the movie isn't making all the money off of that ticket, right? Half of it's going to the theater.
Oh, okay.
And so
that's
when you
gross.
talk about things like, oh yeah, this made $52 million essentially, only about half of that goes back to the company that made it.
26. So then you're
So maybe this movie broke even,
right.
or it lost money. It's right in that window there. So Jaws 3D did not do well financially.
Okay.
This did worse. They thought that what went wrong with Jaws 3D was the gimmick, that it was a
The
3D movie.
Okay.
And so they essentially struck it from canon. And that's why this movie is called Jaws the Revenge, is because this is supposed to be Jaws 3 again. if that makes sense.
Oh,
Someone said, is this the third one, the fourth one? It depends on how you view it.
They were trying to do over and see if they could make it work.
Yeah.
there
They
is a
didn't.
person who exists in this world who decides on canon.
Apparently.
Jaws.
Yeah.
You're telling me, like, and they like have a mortgage and a family and things like that, and then they
Probably
get
not
paid for-
anymore.
I would imagine.
The family left them.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
But like this movie was a mess from start to finish. They knew that Jaws 3D was no good. And so they said, okay, we need to make a new third movie. What's it going to be? And so they pitched idea after idea after idea after idea. And it got to a point where everyone was just exhausted with pitches.
Okay.
And that's when it got pitched that the shark is on a revenge story, wants to go after the family that harmed him.
But not harmed him, unless in Jaws 2 there was some shark that got away. I don't know.
Yeah, so I think that's my understanding. I haven't seen it, but I think
so.
this is the shark from Jaws 2.
Oh, okay.
And so essentially, by the time someone pitched a revenge shark story, everyone was like, whatever, okay, let's just make a movie already.
Can we get a big name actor? Yeah, we can get Michael Caine.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is amazing.
And whoever did The Last Starfighter.
The year this came out, Michael Caine won an Oscar.
What?
Wow.
What?
So that's the dichotomy.
That was his way of sticking into Hollywood.
Yeah. I'll show you Hollywood.
You think I'm good? Watch this.
When we just started watching this movie, Eric referenced an interview that he had seen.
Yeah, because on Instagram, some old reporter was asking Michael Caine, why would you ever do this movie? You were like a famous Oscar-winning actor.
Yeah, so Eric had seen this interview that I'm referencing here, which is really ironic.
Well, I wasn't looking it up. It just came up in my
Are you
reels
sure?
or whatever. Yeah,
But
We're gonna watch Jaws: The Revenge.
What's the most important fact about it?
so he legit just took it for a paycheck.
Yep.
He did not care about the content of the movie. And he said in an interview, when they asked his feelings on the movie, he said, I have never seen it,
Right, yeah.
but by all accounts, it is terrible. However, I have seen the house that it built, and it is terrific.
Yeah, I saw that interview, and it was impressive. I will say, though, in my opinion, he was an enjoyable part of the show.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Like I said, sour cream works in a taco, but you just don't put it all the way through. He was entertaining, he played his character well, but
So I had
he couldn't save it.
taking it one step further, and I actually really appreciate how candid Michael Caine is about this whole thing.
Yeah.
Because normally when people are part of bad movies, they try and distance themselves or whatever.
Oh,
Let's
I was
pretend
so
this never
unhappy
happened.
with them, and they
Yeah.
went this direction. And,
So he's just so candid about it. He said he accepted the role after seeing only the first line of the script, which was fade in Hawaii. And he's like, yeah, I could go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear that part. That's funny. But yeah, he
Just
literally
amazing.
I could
Just
go to
like,
Hawaii.
I could use a trip
So-
to Hawaii.
so they-
legitimately just bought a house for his mom. And that's all
So
they cared
so this wasn't filmed in the Bahamas. It was filmed in Hawaii.
Who knows? Maybe that was an early draft
Sure.
of the script, and then things changed in
Yeah.
that amount of time. I knew that Michael Caine was in this from doing my research, and the protagonist looked really familiar, and so Eric looked him up,
Yeah.
and he was the protagonist from Last Starfighter. That's a classic sci-fi movie for video game nerds out there. But speaking of video games, Steve kept bringing up that he had played the video
That's
game
right.
for this movie.
I don't
On-
think you just played it. You wrapped it.
I beat the game.
Yeah, you beat the
on NES, and I'm assuming it must have been a super easy game to beat because I would have never owned this game. I would have rented this game.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I don't know if I ever beat a single NES game in my
Yeah,
life.
Yeah, there's a couple. But
Yeah,
I
there's
could
a,
count
there's a
on one
couple,
hand.
but they were always super tough to beat, right?
Yeah.
And I remember this game because we were watching the movie, and I'm like, I wonder what happens in this movie because I've never seen the movie, but I remembered as soon as I saw that boat with the prow on the boat, I remembered the video game because that's how you have to beat the video game. You have to kill Jaws by shocking it with this thing that they put in its mouth at the end, and then ram it with the boat just at the right time, and then the game's over.
And
you win.
You never really truly understood what you were
Never
doing. while you
understood
played the
anything
game.
about this game. I don't even remember like how I would have known to beat that game back then. Maybe I had a Nintendo Power or something that showed me
Sure.
what you're supposed to do.
Do you remember any other parts of the game other than ramming it with the boat?
I remember nothing of that game other than shocking the shark and ramming it with the boat.
But you remember the banana boat section, and you thought that was from the original Jaws. That wasn't from the video game. That was you had
that
watched.
was
part
not
of
from
it?
the video game. That was I watched something about iconic movie scenes because it's children in danger, I think, and that's kind of like the whole
Okay.
idea with that.
The body count in this movie is actually quite low.
Super low.
I
Oh, yeah.
think it's only
Two?
2?
Yeah.
Is that right? We get
the son
at the beginning.
at the beginning, and then that
lady
woman
on
off
And
the
then the
back
woman
of
off the banana
banana
boat.
boat.
Does anybody else die in this movie?
Nope. And they have one of those, oh, maybe he's dead, but he's not really dead.
Yeah. What Steve's referencing here is one of the central cast members, Jake, gets dead late in the
Oh,
movie.
he is in the mouth of this thing.
Yeah.
Being
Blood
chomped
spraying
down
all
on.
over.
Yeah.
And then they kill the shark, and then all of a sudden he like swims over and he's like, hey guys, I'm still
I'm
alive.
still alive.
And not only they kill the shark, because you make that sound like a real life killing, like hey,
Yeah.
they harpooned it, or no. They rammed a ship into it, and both the shark and the ship exploded. And so there were multiple chunks of both the ship and the shark. And then Jake just swims up later.
He floats to the surface
Last
somewhere.
we saw, he was in the jaws of the shark.
So all of this that we're describing is not the initial ending of the movie.
Oh, really?
Oh.
All of this stuff was filmed 5 days after the movie came out.
What?
Yeah.
What?
So theatrically, what did it look like?
He stays dead in the theatrical cut.
Oh.
And the boat just harpoons the shark, and the shark's dead on front
On the
of
prow.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. But they figured, you know what? No, we want Jake back, and it's got to end in an explosion. So,
Which is why it was filmed in like a...
yeah, in like a cement bowl. Yeah. So Steve was commenting the background. It goes from being filmed in a tropical paradise
Yeah.
to being in someone's like culvert or something like that.
Yeah, with like a painted...
Yeah, it's a Hollywood set.
And
Like,
it's so
yeah.
clear to see it is. It's like, oh my goodness.
Wow. Okay.
It was
that
like the
makes a little
Truman
more
Show,
sense.
like right at the...
Yes, it is like
it was
the
just
Truman
like
Show.
that, right at the end, and it's very clear he's in a tank of some sort.
Except the clouds were less believable in that.
Less believable.
Well, the Truman Show did come out later, so they're better at painting clouds at that point.
Yeah. This was not what was released in theatrical release.
No.
So when did they add this, or when did they put this VHS
I
release?
think that this was the cut when it got released in other countries. The US release was different.
So now this is the second show where we can tick the checkbox of some producer somewhere ruining it by just...
You think that's what ruined this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause it was
you know what?
perfect
That is
before
what
that.
ruined it. Was the shark who's hunting for revenge explodes upon getting rammed by a boat. That's what ruined that
It
movie.
mostly just would have been boring before that.
But you're right. For a Jaws horror-esque, there's 2 deaths. The shark is featured at different points, but large portions of this movie, it's almost like you forget there's a shark. I think they're doing that to try to develop characters or whatever, try to make you care about them.
Well, and that's something that I think both of you said throughout our viewing.
Yep.
Is you kept saying, well, they're just trying to make us invest in these characters before they die. But then none of them die.
Nobody-
So
yeah.
it's just family time. For
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
sake
so,
of
and that's
family
why I
time.
said it's a show just about family time, because
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
why are you building this?
Nobody
relationship?
died. The only one that died was the son right at the beginning.
And that lady.
And
you
the
know,
lady on the banana
lady
boat,
number
which we
28.
never saw before or after, knew
Yeah.
nothing about. But the poor girl was traumatized.
She was traumatized.
You know what happens though, right? So this shark goes looking for revenge, traumatizes this poor little girl. She's gonna go out looking for revenge now.
Oh,
I mean,
a vicious circle.
It just, oh yeah.
Maybe this is an allegory of the Middle East conflict.
Wow.
Like the Palestinians and the Jews.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
Sure.
this-
Okay. I'm in.
these
I'm in.
revenge
Okay.
killings over and over again. It could just continue. I don't know.
I thought you were going to say that this was like a prequel to John Wick, but you took it way more
Maybe.
seriously.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah,
Could be.
you're trying to get people to go back and relook at that 2% Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah,
that this thing
2%. Like, that's low. That's quite low.
It's low. It's not a 0.
It's not a 0.
We haven't done a 0 yet.
It's not Borderlands.
But this right. Oh, Borderlands, yeah. But this one is like, I've seen bad movies where they're so bad they actually become funny. Like that Connection.
This one wasn't
Oh,
that.
Miami Connection.
It was so bad that your mind is perplexed by what's going on and you just start laughing. But this one, the acting was pretty good. And the sound quality was pretty good. The imagery, the camera work, like this is all fairly decent.
One of the characters has a psychic connection with the shark. And whenever she touches water, she can tell what it's about to do.
This is not explained at all, but yes.
No.
We surmise.
But it's, it's the late 80s. Their psychic connections were a big thing in the late 80s. They wanted that supernatural element.
We're watching the movie, and I just burst out laughing. And all I could say was, this is so stupid. Nothing was happening, but it was just like a realization all at once. I said out loud, this movie is 70% okay.
Yeah.
But the whole concept is so dumb that's the problem with this movie.
Yeah.
If it was just a family drama at Christmas time.
It's a family Christmas drama that includes psychic connections to sharks that are seeking revenge.
It just goes off the rails maybe a little too much.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't even talk about the first murder.
Yes.
Because it's not a shark attack, it's a murder.
Yeah. That
It's
shark
premeditated.
set it up.
So the younger son is a deputy, is that
I think so,
Yeah.
yep.
for a police service, and the Coast Guard is busy somewhere else, so they ask him to go help fix a buoy has been jammed up. So he drives out in this little boat, and there's a log stuck on this buoy, and the buoy can't float around properly where it's supposed to. And as he's looking at this log, the shark ambushes him.
Jumps out of the water
and just kills him.
That shark had
The prop
very
can only
limited...
do so much.
Yeah, and then there was a quick flash of the jaws of the shark, and then he was missing an arm.
And then he took the whole boat down.
Yeah, well, there was a big corner of the boat missing. It started to sink, and he continued to scream, but because of the Christmas carols going on in the background, nobody could hear him.
Yeah.
He knew.
Carols.
The shark was like, I'm going to wait until the Christmas carols are being sung over there.
I'm jamming this buoy up with a log, and this guy's coming out, and I'm eating him.
And the way the camera was showing everything, it was like it was set up like an ambush. And then afterwards, I believe that they showed the log out and moving
That's right.
Yeah, log was free.
Like the shark then removed the log from
You
the buoy
had to remove the evidence
because
of
obviously
his trap.
Yeah.
And
you wouldn't want to be convicted of that later.
No, right. And like he was concerned about human laws. And also
That's like Michael Myers level of hunting going on.
But he appeared to eat the young man.
Yeah.
But then later on, there was almost
There
a
was,
whole body.
there
in
was
the body.
quite a full body.
Yeah, no, it's hunting for sport. This is purely about revenge.
Because it was revenge killing.
Yeah, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Mm.
Yeah?
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
That's good.
That shark had no appetite
Speaking
for anything but revenge.
So, the deputy, in the first scene we meet him, he cuts his finger preparing food.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness, you guys,
This
watch
is
out for this.
He's
A drop of his blood is going to fall in the water, and then the shark's going to know, this is the family that I'm after.
Yeah,
because
I know that
DNA.
blood.
Exactly.
I know that blood.
I can taste the DNA in the water.
Yeah.
But we don't even get that.
No, he doesn't go in the water at all.
No.
He's just reaching out for a log
The
over
shark
the water.
just phoned the police department and said, make sure you send the deputy. The Coast Guard's busy, you hear?
And I would have enjoyed the film more had the shark come out of the water, had maybe some deceptive conversations with people around the family members or whatever.
Yeah. This happens. Then they immediately go down to the Bahamas for Christmas. This shark swims all the way from New York down to the Bahamas and is there within a couple of days.
And the logic behind that is everyone thinks we're unsafe here in these frigid waters where there would never be a great white shark, where it just attacked and killed.
We're going to go down to the warmer waters.
We're going to go to where there's actually legitimately great white sharks, and because it's too warm there won't be great white sharks. Because I'm an oceanographer and I know about it. Am I wrong there?
No, you're right on. I mean,
I'm not an oceanographer.
no, but you,
Oh,
I'm
you're
not an oceanographer.
You're not an oceanographer?
But you looked up, because I said off the coast of Newfoundland, a couple summers ago, there was a great white there they were tracking, which was unusual because of the water temperatures. It was summertime. The waters were unseasonably warmer than normal, whatever. This shark came up. This is Christmas time in New York.
Yeah, and according to the Google map I looked at, they will go in the heat of the summer as far north as New York when it's warm.
When it's warm.
But when it's cold, and I specifically looked up from December to May, where are they? Down in the Bahamas.
Let's get out of New York, where this shark is hunting us, and go down to where the shark would normally inhabit.
Yeah. So if the shark killed the first brother and immediately started swimming to the Bahamas, we assume that he followed them there, but maybe he knew the other brother was in the Bahamas, so he got a head start.
I actually think what's really going on is it's like a shark mob. They planned this whole thing out.
So there's still another one.
No, there's another one still up there. That's different sharks. You know, there's it's a family. It's a family movie,
it's
right?
A family conflict.
It's a family movie.
Because otherwise, that shark had to swim 3,000 miles
months.
or 5,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
Well, do we know it's the same year, Christmas? Maybe they went for the next.
Okay.
It was the next year's Christmas.
I don't want to poke holes in things.
So this is 2 Christmas movies. That's what you're saying.
And at what point are we going to discuss the theory that Michael Caine is the shark?
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You did say that at one point.
So the movie is about the widow of the protagonist
movie,
from the first movie and her 2 sons being hunted by this shark. And so she goes down to the Bahamas to visit her son. And while she's there, she meets Michael Caine's character, who's a bit of a womanizer.
Gambler.
Pilot. Fisherman. No,
English, possibly drug runner. There was some allusions to some of that.
Yes.
You know?
So he said he was transporting laundry with quotation marks.
Is that a reference to laundering things? I don't know.
Good question. So while she's there, she meets Michael Caine's character, and he's putting the moves on her. And her son starts to get paranoid about this.
Right, about his intentions.
That's right. So he's paranoid about a shark hunting him, as well as Michael Caine hunting his mom. His friend.
This is a movie about stepfathers.
But it turns out to be okay.
Yeah, well, and sometimes stepfathers do. But sometimes a stepfather is
turns out to be a shark to kill the whole family.
Yeah, and he's out there just to get your mom and to ruin your family.
Yeah,
that's right.
This is a movie about stepfathers.
So the protagonist and his best friend, Jake, are on a boat hunting the shark. And while they're hunting the shark, Michael says to his friend Jake, "What do you know about Hoagie?" Who's Michael Caine's character. Yeah. And he's like, "I know he likes to gamble, all this stuff." And he's like, "Why do you care so much?" And he says, "He's after my mom."
Yeah.
And is it not splicing between that and the shark swimming?
Yeah. And so I started making jokes at that point that Michael Caine was the shark, in a trench coat.
Yeah,
Like,
and you never see them in the same scene.
Well, that was the airplane. They crash a plane next to the boat.
Yeah, but I think they actually did it. Like, I think that was a pretty cool stunt they did.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Lost the whole plane in the water.
I actually saw a picture of the plane underwater. It's a tourist attraction now.
They left it there.
Yeah, they just left it there. You could do that in the
Bahamas.
80s. Yeah. I don't know. It's a reef now. Or because we don't feel like pulling it up off the bottom of the ocean.
So the shark is around. They're scared. And Michael Caine tells Jake and Michael, "Get out of the plane. Get onto the boat. I'll stay here and distract the shark." And then he gets in the plane. And then all of a sudden the shark's there again. You don't see both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
And so I was joking that it was like a Batman thing. He's always got to be like, "Look over there. What? It's a shark." And then where did he go?
Yeah, there's some weight to that.
If he is the shark, he's a damn good pilot. That's all I can
That shark can fly.
I don't know. I'm really stuck on the allusion to stepfathers now, and I think that's what the movie's about. I like that one.
I'll let you
let me
percolate that one a little bit longer.
You have more things to talk about?
The only thing I have left to talk about is Thea, the little girl. Yeah. She's played by Judith Barcy, and I don't know how much I want to talk about this because I did talk about her once before in my Bullied Nostalgia podcast.
It's with that heretical dinosaur movie you guys watch.
I don't believe in dinosaurs. That's preposterous.
That's right. She was Ducky in The Land Before Time, the voice of the duck-billed dinosaur.
Yeah.
This was actually her last movie. She would be killed as soon as she flew home from making this movie.
Awful.
No.
This is real life?
Yeah, it's really tragic.
Wow, that's terrible. What happened?
It was her dad. He killed her and her
wow.
mom and himself afterwards.
Terrible. That's how you plan to end this podcast?
I might cut it later.
Why
I don't
would you
know.
put this?
Like, it's
That's
just
cool.
like.
Got anything on AIDS? Or...
But
That's an awful story, man.
I know it is. It's just so topical. I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about it or not. But literally, this was like the last thing. Like, she would have been killed.
About that before in some other conversation. That's terrible, though. The only other thing that I think we wanted to discuss was whether this was the third or fourth movie or the second movie or whatever, and that Steve was frustrated with you because he felt like you had hoodwinked him in terms of which bad movie we were going to watch. And I likened that to, hey, I was coming here prepared to eat cow crap, and you switched it out with horse crap. And I thought, what does it matter?
Because I psyched myself up for cow crap.
Yeah, and I don't. For me, I'm like, I don't get why you're angry at switching the kinds of crap.
And this ended up being the video game you played. Like,
I pulled it around. Maybe it's a little OCD or something, but I felt like in a series of movies where it ruins a franchise, which was the idea with this.
Yeah.
Jaws was a great movie. It had issues with the shark working. But Spielberg, with his genius, managed to pull it off. Yeah. And I really enjoyed the first Jaws movie. I never watched any of the other Jaws movies because I'd heard they were all awful.
I don't think any of us had.
And so I thought it stands to reason in any of these franchises, it only gets progressively worse with each sequel.
Okay, I see your logic.
So I'm thinking Jaws 2 is going to be bad. Jaws the Revenge is going to be god-awful.
Okay, I get it. You're like, Tim, I'm hanging on by a string here.
Yeah.
Every episode of this podcast, I try and bail.
It's a major fight, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I could be in for Jaws 2. No, we're doing Jaws the Revenge.
That's fair.
Yeah, I had seen Jaws when I was quite young. When we moved to Grand Prairie, we lived in Vista Village, and we had neighbors, and their kids were older than me. Most of my traumatic movie watching experiences from my youth were watching Nightmare on Elm Street with them. And
can't believe Connie let that happen.
She didn't know.
There was no awareness.
Yeah. So one day, Michael comes over and he says, "Hey, do you want to watch Jaws with us?" And I was like, "Hey, Mom, can I go over and watch Jaws?" And she's like, "No, you can't." And I didn't know what Jaws was. I had it in my head that he was like a cartoon character that Hanna-Barbera had or something.
Okay.
All right.
So I was like, "Mom, it's a cartoon. It's fine." So I talked her into letting me watch
you can watch this cartoon called Jaws.
To my surprise, that's not what it was. It was pretty traumatizing.
I want to watch this next movie. It's about lambs being quiet.
What were you, like 8 or 9 years old?
No, I was not that old.
Oh, really?
I would have been younger than that.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that would be scary.
Yeah, like I was at least 12, I would say, when I watched Jaws.
Yeah, I would say that too.
So we moved when I was 9. It was definitely before that. We moved there when I was 4. I think the Jollies moved out of Vista a year or two before we did. Maybe I was like 7.
Yeah.
I did rewatch it as an adult. Was that one of our movie nights?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since I'd seen any Jaws. Recent enough that I remember that this ain't it.
Yeah, and I was saying, it's been at least 10 years since the last time I watched Jaws. Same thing, I watched it as a 12, 13-year-old, and then rewatched it again as like a 19, 20-year-old. And I remember feeling like when I watched it that second time, this was a well-made movie. I can see why it became such an iconic thing that I didn't appreciate as a kid. As a kid, it just terrified me to go in the water. But it was like,
I'm never going to swim.
Yeah.
Okay, should we jump over to closing?
Yes.
Hey, unless you have any more murder-suicides you want to reference.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Nope, too much?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And the good thing is we had originally planned to do this, Halloween's coming up. We should do
Yeah.
a scary movie. We missed that window, but now it's Christmas
Yeah,
movie.
it's right on time.
Yeah.
We're kind of figuring out what we do, but we do talk about whether this is subjectively bad or objectively bad. Does anybody want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, Steve's like, I'll jump on that grenade.
I mean, we've had the conversation about all the stuff about this movie. I really think, out of the ones we've watched so far, this was a better attempt at making an actual movie.
Miami Connection.
Miami Connection.
Yes, much more professionally made, I'd say.
So that other one,
Madam Web.
Madam Web was like, oh, let's box office hit this thing, and totally missed the mark, right? For multiple reasons, which we discussed. This one here, I feel like we're trying to make a legitimate movie, but like you said, 70% of the movie is like, I think I could get behind this, but the 30% that's off is so off, is ruining the whole thing. I would agree with that sentiment. The premise of this shark that's hunting them, it's just so stupid. And it didn't feel tense. Original Jaws, I remember being like, ooh, like white knuckling some parts, right?
Yeah.
This one, there was none of that. It was trying to make you care about the actors. You didn't really. Some of the dialogue was okay and funny-ish, but like you said, maybe it's with stepfathers, or maybe if we could dig at that level, maybe there is something interesting in there that they were going for. They missed the mark on it, but you could see the attempt felt legitimate at least.
Yeah, I predominantly agree with Steve, and I would say just the actual premise of the movie is so ridiculous. But I forgot about a lot of the ridiculousness because they spent so much time with these characters just acting as a family, which the filming was great, the quality of the picture, the acting was fine, all that stuff. It just got lost and distracted, and I feel like it's sort of this watered down version of, well, this is what Steven Spielberg did. He built tension by building these families, so we're going to do what he did. But it's like, well, they did that 2 movies ago, and that was good then, but why would anyone want to watch a movie of you repeating poorly what he did several years ago?
Yeah.
And then this twist and turn at the end, Tim, that you talked about with the, we don't like that ending where the guy dies and the shark just dies as well. So we're going to make the shark explode, and some random technology is going to make him explode or distract him that is not explained at all to the end. And then the guy is going to live. Anyways, I'll be done there, and then I'll let you jump into that.
That shark was roaring, though.
Yes, that's what I was about to talk about. So they wanted the shark to roar, and the sound director refused. He said, I am not recording a roar for this shark. That's where I draw the line.
They weren't able to capture a natural shark roaring in the wild?
Right.
They weren't able to capture that. No.
So they ended up taking a sound bite from a Tom and Jerry cartoon.
No!
And that's their roaring.
Okay, well, I feel like we shouldn't have started the conclusion yet. But anyways,
I forgot until he brought it up.
Well, I mean, that was the start of the what's going on here phase of but anyway.
So this is the thing, right? Like, the last 10 minutes of this movie, it's just, let's fly this plane into the water for no other reason than to get on the boat with the mother, and let's shove this thing down this shark's mouth, how they rigged this thing up to do whatever, like, I don't know. And then the shark roaring, and then exploding. Like, it was just such a stupid, weird ending.
Yeah.
I see your logic, Steve, and I know our scales are different, but I absolutely adore Miami Connection for doing everything wrong possible.
It was more entertaining.
Without intention.
And I talked about this in our previous episode. I hate Madam Web. I don't like that movie at all. And so if those are the spectrum opposites, this does sit somewhere in between where it doesn't do anything so offensive that I'm like, oh, I hate this, or oh, I love this.
Yeah.
It's
sour
just
cream, man.
Sour cream.
I hate bringing it up again, but it's pretty accurate.
It just is inoffensive the whole way through, and there's a shark that somehow knows geographically every part of the earth that this family is in, and it can swim at super speeds to get there, and it refuses to eat other people. Well, I guess it doesn't really eat those people. What does it eat? That is a very good question. It's spending all of its time.
It feasts on tragedy.
Okay.
Revenge.
It feeds off Christmas spirit.
Yeah. It feeds off destroying people's Christmases. Maybe there was some deep meta idea of this haunting, creeping thing that's just out to get a person or destroy their lives. Because there's, this idea of like a psychological PTSD kind of a thing.
Oh, maybe it's about mental trauma.
Yeah, mental trauma.
Yeah.
Which, sure, that's
here's
fine,
what
but it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
We all agree.
We've put more thought into this movie than the people who made it.
Yeah.
And on one hand, I think it's really cool to be able to build a movie that you could have so much hidden meaning baked into. It does prove how homogenized this movie is, that you could literally apply any type of trauma to it and be like, oh yeah, it is about that, or it could be about that, because it isn't about anything. And so it's really easy to just layer what you want to see onto it. So for me, I don't have any personal feelings about this movie, so I don't think I can say it's subjectively bad, because I am apathetic towards it. But I think that its financial failures, it's 2% on Rotten Tomatoes.
They didn't make another movie for 8 years.
Yeah, all of it says...
If even Cruel Jaws is in the same...
All of it just reiterates that idea that this is just not well made. Yeah. And I think that there are good things about it, but it does not make up for the fact that someone decided to spend $30 million making a movie about a shark hunting family on Christmas.
Yeah.
I think that sums it up. It's a good way to end it.
Alrighty.
So next movie.
Oh my goodness. Listen to Steve.
Ready? No, ready? You haven't heard what I said yet. You haven't heard what I said yet. Next movie may be like Jaws the Revenge for me in that I don't know if I could take any more of this. We'll see if I survive to come back again.
Okay. I didn't ask, so I feel like you bringing it up is kind of offering it up.
No. Well,
yeah, that's like random. Well, don't you dare ask me again. I'm not interested. Don't even try to push me into it.
I'm not even
It'll take quite a bit to get me to say yes.
more of your horse crap.
Well, even though I felt like Steve was teasing you and wants to do it now, I can't do it for at least until March.
Yeah, I guess we haven't recorded a reason why these episodes are so staggered, but life has just happened. So when we're all able to make it work, we'll make it work. Okay, well, I guess that's us signing off. Steve.
Until next time?
Steve the Revenge.